You are live.
All righty. Thank you all. Good evening. Welcome to our PCAB public meeting, September 19th. So welcome all. We have our some of our board members on already, which is exciting. And we are excited to have our guest, Chief Joan Dabrowski, going to speak tonight about MCAP scores. And then following that, we will go into just a brief overview of what PCAB is and how it helps you all, and then introducing all the members that are online. And they'll be able to, answer, be able to speak about themselves briefly and share a little about and go from there. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We are, again, really excited. School year starting off to be amazing. So we love that. And excited to be on with you all. Any other comments by our board members who are on right now? Okay, I'm going with that. I would like to, so that we can keep on with our time and keep on moving. I would like to introduce our speaker for this evening, Chief Joan Dabrowski, and she is the Chief Academic Officer for Baltimore City Public Schools, and she will be speaking to us about MCAP and all of that this evening. So welcome, Chief Dabrowski. Pleasure to see you online, and looking forward to hearing more and sharing out with our families and those who are online right now and those who get the recording afterwards about the MCAP. So the floor is yours. Let me know if you need any sharing rights or anything.
Thank you so much. Good evening. So I have my colleague, Holly Bedwell, who is going to be presenting our presentation. So Holly, I'll check with you to see if you're able to share your screen to share the presentation. And it looks like, can folks see it? Looks like we're good to go. Fantastic.
Yes.
So good evening. Again, I'm Joan Dabrowski. I'm the Chief Academic Officer here in Baltimore City Public Schools. It is great to be here tonight to share with you our annual results of the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program. Tonight, I will share with you results from the spring 2024 administration for English Language Arts, or ELA, and math and science. So if we go to the next slide, please. So just a little bit of context, MCAP is our annual assessment. We give it each spring. Our students are tested in ELA in grades 3 through 8 and in English 10, mathematics in grades 3 through 8, and Algebra 1. We also have a smaller administration of Algebra 2 and Geometry, which I will not be talking about tonight, but I also do have results from our science assessment in grades 5 and 8. What we know about sort of where this work lies is it's reported out in several different ways from the state. And tonight I will be giving you the most recent information that we have that we shared with our board a couple of weeks ago. And it talks about results as far as proficiency. So when we think about this, there are 4 performance levels. You can see that there from level 1 all the way up to level 4. And again, MCAP is part of some federal guidelines and expectations for accountability. And so we use this information as part of our state's report card rating systems for our schools. So that's just a little bit about MCAP. So with that, we can go ahead and move to the next slide. So we'll start with English Language Arts. If we go to the next slide, I think the important headline here is that City Schools continues to be on a road of improvement. And again, this has been over multiple years. We have seen incremental improvements. And this most recent data represents the highest ELA performance since we first used this assessment, which used to be called PARC back in school year 14-15. So again, since Dr. Santelises became our CEO, we have increased the level of improvement year over year. We see grade increases in grades 4 through 7 and in grade 10. In grades 6, 7, and 10, we actually see growth that's higher than the state. There is, though, decreases. There are small decreases in grades 3 and 8, and those decreases were a little bit less than the state. And I will say that overall, the state did see a dip in grade 3, which they're looking into and sort of wondering what's going on in that space. So let's go to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit more about, again, this year-over-year improvement. So you can see the lighter line at the top represents all of Maryland. The blue, darker blue line, that is our city schools trend of data. And you can see we are on an upward trend, which is terrific to see. There is certainly more work to do in improvement, but where Maryland had a bump of just 0.5, city schools has a bump up of 1.7%. So again, it's good to see the improvement. If we go to the next slide, this was data that was actually reported in the Baltimore Banner. And what this really lifts up is the year-over-year percentage change in our proficiency. So seeing how we are improving at a percentage rate. And you can see that when you really dig in at this level, the rate of improvement that city schools is showing is actually outpacing many of our nearby LEAs. The districts nearby, again, you see us at that 6.54% improvement, which is again indicating that we are showing the right sort of trends in the work that we're seeing as compared to our other nearby districts. If we go to the next slide, I want to look here at grade by grade improvement. So the blue line represents 2022 administration, the red 2023, and then green is our most recent assessment information from this past spring. So you can see across the board, we are showing improvement in most of our grades, but if you notice grade 3, just a teeny tiny dip, it's almost flat there. And then in 8th grade, you also see a slight decline. Again, that's something that we're seeing across the state. But overall, the trends here showing the improvement. We're particularly interested in what we're seeing in grades 6, 7, 8, and in 10, where we're seeing those higher numbers of students reaching proficiency, which is great to see. And I'll talk about that a little bit more on our next slide. So again, one of the things that we have done in city schools is really invested in some high quality instructional materials and a strong curriculum. And what we're seeing here is in grades 6, 7, and 8, we're seeing these greater gains in proficiency. So this graph here shows from 2016 to 2024. What you can see here is the way in which our growth has compared to the state's change. So the state is orange and Baltimore City is blue. So we are really outperforming in those middle grades. And actually, we're getting a lot of national recognition for sort of what we're seeing here is this trend that our students are really making some important progress in middle grades, which is not typically what we see. We sometimes see that the reading challenges become more complex as students get older, and our students sort of take a dip there. But we're actually seeing a different trend here, city schools. So it's exciting to see some of that work that we're doing in the lower grades really showing and paying off in the upper grades. If we go to the next slide, you can see that across all of our grades, again, this is the same type of graph, but we're looking at it across all grades. We are outpacing the state. And again, this is looking again from 2015-16 up to the most recent 23-24. Again, the state is the orange line and we are the blue line, which shows again how we are moving in the right direction. And I think that's again very promising for us as we continue to work towards improvement. So as we think about sort of why we are sort of noticing this trend and this upward trajectory, we know that in city schools, some of our key investments are making a difference. And the first I want to lift up is the instructional materials. So the materials we use with our students every day in their English language arts classes, those things are paying off because our teachers are able to have those materials and they're aligned to the state standards. And we have been emphasizing what we call our foundational literacy skills. So making sure our students know their letters, know their letter sounds, know how to put sounds into words. And that real intentional work, we think is leading to those middle grades who are ready. Those middle grade students are ready to dig into deeper comprehension work and using complex text because we're investing that time in their foundational work early on. And we've also done a lot in city schools with our professional learning. We've done a lot of work to make sure that there are literacy coaches who are full-time out of the classroom, but they are in schools helping teachers with lesson planning and looking at student data and helping them make sure that they're using their lessons well and using their instructional time well. So we've invested a lot in that. And we've also invested a lot in teachers working together in what we call professional learning communities, being able to work with their peers to study lessons together and try things out in their classrooms and then get better at improving their work. And that's been, I think, another space that has really paid off. And then the last thing is there's been a lot of talk about the approach to how we teach reading. So there's a lot of talk about this science behind how we teach kids to read. And City Schools has been on the forefront of making sure our teachers understand all of the research about how our young children's brains are taking in letters and sounds and reading of text and understanding. And we think that that professional learning is also an investment that's paying off. So if we go to the next slide, we want to just lift up the things that we're going to continue to do in ELA. And again, we're super excited that this year we've got a brand new pre-K program. So if any of you have a pre-K child, they will be using a new program called Frog Street. Again, a very robust set of materials, high quality materials. We have even more of those school-based literacy coaches. We've got even more than last year. We've got more teachers taking the science of reading courses, and we're going to start emphasizing writing because we know that reading and writing are connected, and writing is something that we do in all of our subject areas. So we're super excited to think about writing in math, writing in science, writing in social studies, but all of this helps in terms of our literacy proficiency. All right, if we go on to the next area, we're going to move into math. All right, we can go to the next slide. So again, math results also are in a space of improvement. We showed increases across all grades 3 through 8 and in Algebra 1. Our grades 3 through 5 showed the highest levels of improvement in achievement. And I think there's a 3-year trend that's going in the right direction. However, our progress in mathematics is not the same as our progress in ELA literacy, and we have still not reached our pre-pandemic achievement levels. So there is steep improvement work that we need to do in mathematics. So if we go to this next slide here, you can see where city schools, again, is the dark blue line and the state is the light blue line. We are still well below where we need to be in the area of mathematics. We showed more improvement than the state with a 1.4% improvement, but we are hovering around 10% of our students being proficient, which is far below where they need to be. And it is work that is urgently important for us as we think about this work. We go to the next slide. Again, when the Baltimore Banner did their analysis, even with that overall low number of 10% achievement, our growth is steep. Our growth is remarkably steep when compared with our other neighboring districts. So again, I don't want to not emphasize the overall low level of proficiency, but I do want to lift up the importance of improvement. Math has been a very challenging space for a lot of LEAs across Maryland, across the nation, and it is work that we are intentionally focused on, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So if we go to the next slide, here's what this looks like grade by grade. So just again, the blue is 2022, red 23, green 24. And you'll see, again, when we look at 3rd grade, we're seeing some steep improvement there, which is terrific to see. We also see that in grades 4 and 5. And we're noticing that in Algebra 1 in grade 8, there's an upward trajectory. So it's moving in the direction that we want it to move. And there is a lot more we need to do in this space of mathematics. If we go to the next slide, you can see here where we again compare to our growth and how we are outpacing the state between last year and this year. So again, That orange represents the state, whether they went forward or backward, and then blue shows what we did here in city schools. So you can see that in most spaces, we are outpacing the state. If we go to the next slide, I want to lift up here our work on Algebra 1. This has been some intentional work we've been doing to get more of our students ready for algebra by 8th grade. And we see that those students who take algebra in grade 8 are scoring at a higher level again. So we've made some important changes in that since 2022, when we were at just 14.5%. We are now just over 19%, which is terrific to see. We know when we also look at grade 9, we were very, very low. We were less than 5% in 22 and 23, and we have gotten over that threshold. So again, steep improvement work to do, but the growth is going in the right direction. So what this means in terms of our work ahead of us, we need to be learning from what we've been doing in the literacy space. And so we are super excited that we'll be having more opportunities to use high quality materials. I'll talk about that in just a minute. We need more math leads and coaches, which again, we've learned in the literacy space that having that school-based expertise really is important, and we know it's needed for math as well. We need more professional learning. And I think the exciting thing is that we're taking that look at grade 8 in Algebra 1 to try to expand so more kids can take it at grade 8. And then there's also been some strategic work in 9th grade, making sure that our 9th graders are staying on track, making sure that they're getting those grades in their first quarter and first semester of 9th grade to see that they're on track. And that will help with that Algebra 1 as well in grade 9. So again, super excited that our next step in math is happening right now. Last spring, the board approved new math materials, which some of your students may be using. We're in a phase 1, so 32 of our schools are using a new math program called Reveal Math. That has been something that we are really looking forward to because we believe that these are more up-to-date materials. They allow for our teachers to be able to plan better small group instruction to make sure kids are getting exactly what they need. And as I mentioned, we've got more math coaches, and we're going to keep working on that Algebra 1 access. We've got some new tutoring partners that are going to help with, again, particularly in the middle and high school spaces, to make sure our students are ready for that math Algebra 1. And we're also super excited that we have some work that we're going to be doing with our early career teachers to really help develop their math content so that they can be the very best math teacher in their classrooms. All right, we can go on to the next one. So the last area I'm going to talk to you about tonight is the science. The science is, again, I think an important one to look at. It's a different kind of test. So in grade 5, it's actually testing the learning from grades 3, 4, and 5. And then in grade 8, that grade 8 test actually is testing content from grade 6, 7, and 8. And what you'll see here is we've had some mixed results, and this is true for the state as well. And it's important to note that while city schools has had some dips there, the data that you'll see in just a moment shows that the decrease in the state was significant. And I think it signals some intentional work that needs to happen around science access and science instruction. So if we go to the next couple of slides, you'll see the graphs, the way they play out. So again, in Maryland, again, the gray represents the state. You can see that the state of Maryland dropped over 10 percentage points in science, which is very surprising and very alarming. City schools dropped 4.7 points. So the steep incline that the state saw was not as intense for us, but overall you can see our proficiency level in science is quite low in grade 5. If we look at grade 8, we'll go to the next slide, you'll see here we actually went up where the state went down. That was hopeful to see, but you can still see that 9.6% is very low. And so as we think about these science results, if we go to the next slide, I think the biggest thing we are talking about is how do we prioritize time for science? We are not convinced right now that our students have consistent access to the science instruction that they need to be aligned with state standards. So we're looking at how we will better check those schedules, make sure our teachers are able to get to science, and they need explicit instruction around how they can read and write in science. We know those things are connected, especially during assessments. So it's something that we're thinking about as we build off some of our successes in literacy. How are we going to take some of that reading and writing to science texts? And how are we taking it to science content? If we go to the next slide, I wanted to just let people know that we have taken all of these results and are using them for centralized supports to schools. So again, we received these results just a few weeks ago. We've already been digging in with them, with our colleagues who go out and support schools. The academics office, which I represent, work closely with the schools office, with the school leaders to make sure they're getting the supports that they need. And again, the teams have already been reviewing this data and are going out and deploying support and help to the schools based on these results to make sure that we are being very strategic in our ongoing work. The last thing I want to say is that schools received this week the individual student reports. Those are something that come in both electronic and in paper format from the state. And we will be sending those home. Schools will be sending those home over the next month. They should be coming home in your child's backpack so that you can see how your child did on the MCAP. And you can certainly reach out to your schools, to your teacher, to your child's teacher, or to the principal if you have any questions about their results. And I believe that is the end. And again, appreciate the opportunity to share this with all of you this evening.
Thank you so much, Chief Dabrowski. That was great. A lot of great information. Exciting to see the increases in the scores and how that is, working for our families and our students in the system. So that is good. That especially, everybody knows coming off the pandemic, it was rough. So this is phenomenal to see this and to hear this. And we're going to open it up for questions as well. So we'll be monitoring the chat. And for those that are online, I'm looking on Facebook as well to see. And also if you just raise your hand in the Zoom and we can get your questions. So please, the floor is open for questions. And I see Corey Witherspoon, you're up.
How you doing, family? This is a wonderful presentation. My question is, as we know that education doesn't stop with school time, and I know what will help the scores, bring up the scores a whole lot more, is to go ahead make sure the parent is better equipped to teach their young. So, are there any wraparound services being provided so that parent is, can learn the new Common Core way of doing math, or the new styles in which young people are learning how to read? Is it ways that way the parent can actually be, extension, a hand of the school to go ahead and help teach their young?
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. It's a great question. And in fact, it's one that we have been thinking about as a district, most recently with mathematics, because as you saw, the very steep improvement work that we want to do in math. And we hosted some family math nights for our families to be either online so that they could learn about ways to practice some of the math drills and things at home, as well as we hosted a couple of events in this at the Science Museum and the B&O Railroad Museum to bring our families out so we could give them extra resources and have some sessions with them. And I know that Chief Hyde Hubbard, who's also on the call here tonight, we're already talking about what plans we'll do this year to host more of those family nights because we had such a great turnout and so much positive feedback on it. I would also say if we know our schools host back to school nights, they may offer math nights or literacy nights. And I would encourage families to go and to take opportunity or take advantage of those opportunities, because there's often with all of our curriculum, whether it's the new Reveal Math or whether it's Wit and Wisdom or our foundations, there are always at-home activities for families to do and to practice with their student that are totally aligned with what they're learning in school. So I encourage families, please reach out to your teachers. They will give you and provide you with ideas and ways that you can support your young person to make sure that they're getting what they need. And I agree that some of the new ways to teach math are very tricky. So it's great that you can sort of get some tips from the teachers on how to best do that.
Thank you. That was a great question and great response. And we agree. And as PCAB, we definitely want to be supportive of those efforts as well. So anything that we can do to help get the word out, or even as we push forward, we want to start to host some activities where we're out in the community as well, where we can partner with the team in the academic office section to provide something that would be phenomenal. Being able to show families like easy ways to support their children, because that often is a barrier for our families. It's that intimidation of the work, and it could be even past intimidation from when they were in school. Especially when it comes to math. And math is one of those things that we say, "Oh, I'm not good at math," and we accept that. Like if you say I'm not good at reading, people are like, "Well, let's help you." But if you say I'm not good at math, oh, me neither. And people just okay with that. And we have to change that and show like, here's how we can improve it across the board and give you the power as the families to do the work too, and ask the questions. Like, what questions do they need to ask of their teachers, of the administrators? And I think that's the other, key to it, because again, if I don't know what I don't know, in that part. So I see Dr. Stewart.
Absolutely. Yep.
Dr. Stewart, go on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Stewart. I am a third grade teacher. We're talking about math and reading. I'm also a parent of three daughters. One is in high school, one is in middle school, and my other one is fifth grade in elementary school. And so I'm not sure if this was considered our third graders, because I saw that, yes, there was an increase in math, but a decrease in ELA. Our third graders were either pre-K or kindergartners, and it was 2020, and it was COVID.
Yep.
So they lost a lot of learning, and we're playing catch up.
Yep.
And so with that being said, right now, I'm even facing with some struggles in my own classroom with third graders who cannot even hold a pencil, and they're writing like this.
Yep.
And it is challenging. And so I also would want to know what other resources that we can have to fill in those gaps, because personalized learning time is only 20 minutes. It's not enough time. We only have 20 minutes for strictly writing. That's not enough time, because transition times are not built in the schedule to actually make it back to the classroom to between those times, because they either coming from lunch or specials resources. So by the time we get back into our classrooms, because they're only 20-minute blocks, we already lost 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out a better way to, I know writing is incorporated in reading, math, science, and social studies. Even when you mentioned about science, I teach all 4 subjects. So after lunch, after personalized learning, or whatever the schedule may be, we jump in. We only have 45 minutes per block for science, 45 minutes for social studies. We don't have hands-on materials for either one of those subjects in most of our schools. Some of our schools are using 180 days science, 180 days social studies, with a very short passage, and 3 questions to answer, which are multiple choice. I'm coming from a charter school, so I guess we have preference of resources and materials being used, but I have tapped into the district's social studies and science curriculum. So I've been supplementing, but there's still no real hands-on materials being provided.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you, well, I have to say you gave me pause because we actually did invest in hands-on materials for science this past summer because we had some of our ESSER dollars for, but again, charters may not have, I don't know what charter you're at, so that may be, but I will say that I think the issue around time is real. We definitely are hearing about how we are more strategic with how we use time and the transitions of that back and forth. I hear that and I see that when I go out to school. So I agree, it's one of our challenges. But I certainly know that the commitment around some of the writing is we've been looking at something called the Writing Revolution, which is actually not a program, but it is a collection of writing strategies that have been organized that really can fit into whatever curriculum you're using. So for, again, in our traditional schools, we use wit and wisdom, and we can use some of those writing strategies and incorporate that in, because I agree the writing time, to find that time is very hard. And so it's almost like, how do we use them during quick writes when they first come in, or when they're doing an open response to something, then teaching a few things at like how to improve their sentences, how to make longer sentences, and building their confidence at the sentence level. That's one of the things we're looking at specifically. I think the last thing I'll say about that is we've been looking a lot at our data for teachers who have had that deep science of reading training and who have done some very responsive small groups, because I think you're right, the personalized learning is tricky. But if we think about it as small group instruction, we're actually seeing a larger improvement in those classrooms. And so we're trying to think about how we do some of that to scale. We're seeing some of that if we go deeper into the data. And I couldn't agree more with you. When we look at third grade and where those children were at the beginning of COVID, the important learning time of pre-K and K, and where those children may have been online, we're still feeling the impact of that. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Yeah.
Before I get to you, Dr. Dante, we have a couple of questions that came up online. So one is, does this information include those receiving special education services? And if not, is there a separate format?
No, this data does include our multilingual learners, our students with disabilities. It's got our full group of students included in the data.
Excellent. That was from Sheila Billups. And then from Akil Parker, he says, I would like to create a math video content for city school parents that can be housed on the city school website. How can we make this happen?
Oh, I love that question. And in fact, I think when you were talking earlier, I was thinking I'd love to have the math team come back and perhaps share some tips, but I will absolutely take that idea back to my math team and think about, building out some type of guide for parents. I mean, Chief Hubbard, who's here with me tonight, she and I have been embarked in a long-term project to build out family guides for ELA and math to help parents know, like, here are the critical milestones in grade 2, and here are 2 or 3 things you can do at home with your child to help them hit those milestones for grade 2. That's work that's sort of in the long term coming, but I think in the short term, we could certainly do something like that. And I will certainly circle back with my math team and to think through what could we do this year if, coming back to this forum, or again, we hosted a couple of family Zoom nights last year in math. We'd love to have PCAB support in helping us get more families to hop on, or if we record them and then can make sure that they're available, that would be great.
Excellent. Couple more. Are there any curriculum related parent resource available for parents and families to review on district websites? So I guess that's similar.
Yep.
In that question. And then somebody said we did have a meeting with the math team and we're just waiting on some follow-up. So if we can revisit that, that would be
I have
great.
a meeting with them tomorrow morning, so this is perfect timing. I will put this on the agenda. No, terrific.
Excellent, excellent. And before Dante, I'm gonna get you. I'm sorry, real quick. I was just thinking to further that. It'd be interesting, and I know Chief Hubbard is on the call as well. It'd be interesting to possibly use some of our students to create some, math content utilizing social media platforms that can also be shared out, for their counterparts in other schools, but then some of the parents too. And then we can, PCAB would love to be a part of that as well, where we can have parents doing some work like that. And I know Dr. Dante here, that's his world with math. So I'm gonna let you jump in real quick.
Oh, so first of all, good evening. Am I coming through clearly?
Yes, you are.
Good. So first of all, my first comment into what you say, Jason, regarding having students create videos, I think that's an awesome opportunity, and also to give them service learning hours, so that way it kind of knocks down two birds with one stone. But my question for Ms. Dabrowski and her team is: has the district considered grouping students with respect to their instructional level versus their grade level? And has that been modeled at any other schools? If so, what was the result? If not, why hasn't that been explored or kind of modeled? And the reason why I'm saying is that, hey, you go into a third grade class, you'll see, you got some third graders that pretty much are right at grade level, and then you have some third graders that are 2 grade levels behind. And so to me, that just seems, a little ineffective for the use of the time for the teacher, and more importantly, for those students that are on grade level, right? I mean, that's an opportunity to even enrich them a little bit and get them ahead. So that's all my question is.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. It is a great question. And I think the way because there is this tension of, we do want, even if a third grader is working below their grade level, we do want to provide them access to their grade level standard, knowing that there may be a gap of what it takes for them to access that third grade. And so there is this space of, where then do we use our small groups to get at more homogeneous, get a small group that are all on the same level, getting that during small group time, which is part of the math block every day. And so we try to get at that, as opposed to, I think what you're talking about. And we do know that there are places that do that type of restructuring across grades. So they really open up the math block, say, across multiple grades, and do that. We haven't said necessarily try that as a district strategy. We may have some schools that are trying that out more organically at the school level. I think our system approach has been, use that small group time to bring together. If you've got 6 kids in your class who really don't have this basic addition down, and they're supposed to be in multiplication, pull them aside for 20 minutes and work on that there, so they can get to that multiplication. We try to take it in that approach. I will say it is very challenging, and we do hear this from our teachers, that the range of learners in a 1/3 grade class can have that range, as you've noted. And it is something we're working on and thinking about. So I appreciate that comment. It is something I will certainly take back to see if there are other thoughts on how we could do that and be real intentional in that. Yeah.
And if I may just add a caveat to it. And the reason why that's a big concern is, so we talk about the small group instruction, and Dr. Stewart kind of mentioned that as well. Well, that's just not enough time, right? And so that's what we're wrestling against, where, they're going into these small group times where they're meeting with other students that's on their instructional level, but that's just not enough time. I mean, we really have to make the assumption that these students are going home and they're not getting additional practice, right? So we have to make up that time somewhere else. And to me, that time, I think will be better spent in school. But again, I know that you and your team are kind of thinking through that. I don't.
No, it's a great question. And I will say, we do start that honors track, and we're looking at that, so that starts in 6th grade for students that we see who are really meeting and going well. So we do start to see that. And we've talked about, what does that mean maybe for 4th or 5th grade? So the conversations are certainly happening. And I think, as I've mentioned, there's steep improvement work to do in mathematics. So all ideas are up for conversation right now, for sure. Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Chief Height Cupboard, would you like to jump in? And then Corey, I'll get you right after.
Hi, everybody. I was straddling both my kids' PTA meeting and this meeting at the same time. So it's a reality, right? But anyway, I just wanted to add that, Joan, you hit it at the very end, and I want to make sure we're clear that I appreciate Dr. Ryan's questions, but also that middle school, we've been doing a lot of work and making sure that we have honors options, that we are getting kids into algebra by 8th grade. And we also have a new influx of kids taking algebra in 7th grade and taking geometry in 8th grade. And then, of course, the math is differentiated at high school level by what placement you're in. So we're getting there. And I just want to also echo Dr. Dabrowski's, she's my partner in crime around how we get families to connect to support their children's education and making sure that math is a priority for us. So kudos to her and her team and working with my team directly to figure out what that looks like. I just wanted to add my 2 cents about that. But my own son has benefited from an acceleration at City Schools math, and I really appreciate that ability. So.
Thank you, Chief Lycovert. Corey.
Yes, I just want to go and circle back on Akil Parker. I think what he was talking about is partnering with him. He's done a great job with all this math. It's on YouTube, and he's been teaching communities for a very, 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 very long time. He even has students, so to go and partner, find out his strategy, find out how he does, and together you can work as a team to better help educate families on math and that perspective, as well as Ryan Institute has been doing like really great work as well. So partnering with those giants who's already doing the work that will make us even more robust and be able to go and reach Baltimore's communities even more.
Got it. No, thank you. And I see that's in the chat, so I will click on that link and learn more. So thank you for that. Yep.
Yes, thank you. We have another question online from Ms. Carla Harris. She said, is there GATE or GAL instruction for pre-K?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think that we do for pre-K.
I don't think it's specific GAL instruction, but I do know some teachers differentiate by allowing, pre-K students to be able to sort of sit with the kindergartners during reading block or that kind of thing. But I think GAL, what do you call them? Because the thing is, you don't actually assess for GAL until kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so they take the Naglieri in kindergarten, which is a nonverbal assessment, so that all kids, whether multilingual or different learners, can show whether or not they are gifted or twice exceptional. So I don't believe the kids are even identified until kindergarten. But then after kindergarten identification, students can still be identified through high scores on their DIBELS assessments or Amplify or whatever schools are using, depending if it's charter or traditional school. And so kids can be identified that way. So I do think, though, teachers will differentiate a little bit when there's opportunity to do so. But I have to also remember that I would say my own child, my daughter, is gifted, but she needs time in pre-K to play and socialize and have a developmentally strong approach to her acclimation to school, right? And so, while she was already reading at that time, I was more concerned about her learning how to interact with her peers and how to be in a group and how to sit down all day long and focus. And so, and have play and have fun. Our pre-K babies need that as well. So I think, but the GAL identification does start in kindergarten. Sorry if I went too far to Chief Dabrowski, but you can also jump in.
Nope, you're good.
And her second part of the question was, how are those pre-K kids submitted and evaluated? And is GATE a separate class or more for classroom teachers?
Do you want to keep going, Tina? Sorry.
I can. My 8-year-old's asking me questions about popsicles in the background. Of course she is. I'm a proud City Schools parent of 2 kiddos, just so you know. So the assessment happens in kindergarten, as I said. And so all of our kindergartners get assessed through the Naglieri, and then they're identified that way. There isn't a separate GAL class that happens, but rather every student, I just filled out my daughter's this week. It's an ILP. So we have SLPs for the district, the student learning plans, which we promoted post-pandemic. So parents and teachers could be partners in what the child is learning and what they can focus on, et cetera. But every child is identified as gifted or advanced or talent development, because the broader category than just gifted has to do an ILP, individualized learning plan that focuses on what their needs are and how the differentiation is going to happen to support those students. And some schools do pull out of their GAL students. They might do a small group or that kind of thing, or give them a different extra things to focus on at home. But it's not a separate class. Now, when you get into the middle school, grades. Students can apply for advanced academic, and that is offered at some of our schools, but many or most of our middle schools also offer an honors track for the programming. And then there's also Ingenuity, where students can apply for an advanced STEM, math and science focused program. And then of course our high schools, and I love to share this part, we have, of course, our entrance criteria schools, but Joan's team has been amazing at getting more AP courses offered at all of our high schools so that all students can have access to them, as well as, I believe, Joan, online resources that even if those high schools don't offer those advanced placement courses, students may be able to access them through our online program and have that scheduled into their course schedule. That's correct, right, Dr. Russ? Yeah.
Thank you. I have another question online. When the district was using Great Minds, the platform included parent resources and videos that, as a parent, I found helpful in learning to support my student. I'm curious if such a feature aspect of the curriculum, parent learning resources, was captured as a requirement in the procurement process of considering and selecting the new curriculum reveal.
Yes, no, absolutely. So we certainly know that the parent component for any of our math programs needs to be considered. And we think about making sure that it's also available for our families who may not speak English as their first primary language. So yes, that is part of Reveal. It's something that we are learning and unpacking as we're in this first early implementation phase. So if your child is attending a school that's using, so we've got, like I said, 32 schools who are using Reveal this year. Please reach out to your teacher to say, hey, what are the components? Again, this is new for us, so bear with us as we're sort of learning this in this first level of implementation, but that was considered as part of the different characteristics of a strong set of materials for us.
Thank you. And I don't see any other questions online. Any other questions on the Zoom? Right. Oh, she said there's a parent letter, but the resources are not as robust as Great Minds.
Got it. Let me do that as part of my check-in with my math team tomorrow. I'll dig in and try to learn more on that. And like I said, we're in the early stages, and I think we want to certainly make sure that our parents are getting what they need as we roll out this new program. And that's super important for us. So I appreciate that feedback, and I will certainly bring that back to the math team.
Thank you. And Chizara, I see your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you for the presentation this evening. I was just wondering, in the presentation when I was looking at the data, and we just spoke about the EL learners and things of that sort. Is that reflected in the data that was presented tonight as far as the improvement standards that you presented?
Yes. Yep, that data includes our multilingual learners and it includes our students with disabilities. It's our full group of students that's represented in that data.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? There is one question that is online that the person, Charles, knows that it's off topic, but wants to bring it up here as a question. The fence around Frederick Douglass High School, can it be moved behind the sidewalk along Gwynns Falls Parkway? They have it right along the curb, and folks are forced to walk in the streets.
Jason, can you send that question to me via email
Sure.
as the PCAB chair? And what I will do is send that to the folks who are managing the construction process, at Frederick Douglass, and see if they can accommodate. And as well as if we get back to you, that's great. And you can share the answer if you want to add the person who asked the question. But neither Joan or I know our construction plans, but we can certainly take it back to our operations team, and they can give us an update on that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We will do that. All right. Well, we appreciate your time this evening, for sure, answering the questions, giving a lot of great information. This was exactly what we were hoping for with getting this and getting the interaction. So thank you again for this. We know that this is information is important, and the most that we can get out to our families and making sure that they are in the know and that they understand everything that's going on. So if somebody asks them, they can speak about it, and they can ask the right questions, and it seems like a lot of the theme that we saw this evening was centered around families, having the right information to be able to ask their teachers what they need to do, or ask the faculty, or be able to help their students get better, which, shows that it's not that our families don't want to do it. They just need the information, the resources to know how, because again, we get stuck often. And like you said, new math and new reading process and everything is different. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're doing. But if they get the information, then now they can share it out, and then also help others get this right. So thank you. And Chief Hackcover, do you want to close us out with it?
Just one little quick plug. We did have a back to school night. We had the mayor's back to school rally that was in August, and schools have been hosting their own. We were going to host one on the 23rd of September, next Monday. Unfortunately, we had a concern around our contract with Shake and Bake. So we've gotten that resolved, and we're going to have that on September 30th. It's 1 week later, on Monday, September 30th, 5:30 to 8:30, 9 o'clock. We will have, it's going to be a fun night, right? But we will have resources available. Jones team members come and they have tables. Our gal folks will be there. Our wholeness team will be there, and folks can come. And PCAB, we obviously welcome you to come as well, and also promote it to our families to come and have a skate night. And I'll be there with my own child. So looking forward. I want to make sure I got that last quick plug in.
Excellent, thank you. Will we get a updated flyer for that?
We're working on it right now, sir. Yes.
Perfect. We will share that out, and we were planning on attending the other one, so we will be there. That's down the street from where I'm at, so I'll be there. And thank you all again for your time. I know this is, the evening, and for juggling as well with PTA meetings and popsicles, because that's important. Of course, I'm thinking about it myself. I mean, we all popsicles for everybody. But let's move forward with what we're doing, and we're excited to have partnership with the district to really learn about what's going on. And that's what we're here for, is to really teach folks exactly what PCAB is doing and what the district is doing, and how we can work together to be amazing partners. So thank you again for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Great to be here. Take care.
Thank you. All righty, everybody. So at this point, we're going to go into just some overview of PCAB and introduction of our new board members, and our new cabinet and everything for this school year, which is very exciting. So just to give you a little background on PCAB, for those that are not as familiar and are maybe just signing on and like, hey, I'm getting some information, but I want to know who these folks are. So PCAB was actually established in 1997 by Maryland law to provide structured parental input into Baltimore City Schools' decision-making process. The body is made up of appointed members representing parents, community stakeholders, and members work closely with the school district leadership to advocate for the needs of students and families. Our current board is made up of parents, community members, advocates, and people who care about our students in the district. Specific board members vary, and new members are appointed regularly to ensure a diverse representation. And you will tonight get to meet everyone, because they'll have the opportunity to introduce themselves and tell you about themselves as well. PCAB advises the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools and the Board of School, acts as a bridge between school district, ensuring that the community's voice is part of the decision-making process. PCAB public forums and events to discuss key educational issues, policies, and initiatives, giving families a platform to leaders. How do we work with the school district board of commissioners? We provide recommendations, feedback, insights directly to the CEO and board of school commissioners, helping shape some of the policies and practices to meet the needs of Baltimore students. The collaboration focuses on improving academic achievement, addressing equity concerns, and fostering effective communication between schools and the community. Our mission is simple: is to ensure the voice of parents and community members are included in decisions that affect the education of Baltimore's children by advocating for equitable policies and greater parental engagement. PCAB aims to enhance educational outcomes for all students in the district. And how do we support you as our families? We work with families by acting as their representative voice within the school district. We focus on improving communication, advocating for parental involvement, and ensuring that families have access and support they need for their children's success. PCAB engages parents to address their concerns and ensure the district is responsive to the community needs. And I tell you, working with Chief High Cover and the communications team, whenever we have any questions, they are here to respond to us right away. They get right on it. So please, if you have questions, concerns, all that, please share them with PCAB. You can share them right online at all of our social media. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. And then also you can email us at pcab@bcps.k12.md.us. You can also sign up for our PCAB newsletter, which comes out and it has all sorts of resources and information for you. So thank you for hearing a little bit about PCAB and what we do. And without further ado, I am going to actually I'm going to introduce our vice chair, Ms. Shartae Anderson, who will start us off on the process of meeting the new board members. So Shartae, are you ready to put the slide up? Yes.
Sorry, I was trying to find my unmute button.
No.
Hi everybody, good evening. My name is Shartae Anderson. I'm the vice chair of PCAB for this school year. We would just love for our board members to introduce themselves, and I added 3 questions up here on the screen that you can follow as you're introducing yourself. You could just share your current occupation, what made you interested in becoming a board member of PCAB, and then just briefly talk about what particular areas of interest you hope to advocate for while serving on the board.
So would you like, I can call people out
Sure, or if you want to start, that's fine.
I'll get it started. Okay, we'll go with me.
Cool.
So introducing myself, my name is Jason Green, and I am the chair for PCAB. So my current occupation is I am the executive director for New Song Community Learning Center, and we are the proud Baltimore City charter operator of New Song Academy, which is a pre-K to 8 public charter school located right in Sandtown, Winchester. What made me interested in becoming a board member? Being in the charter school, wanting to be a voice for our charter school parents, as well as a voice for our families that typically don't have a voice or don't get to speak out or don't know the pathways to connect to the school system. And they feel frustrated and defeated every time. So when I'm hearing that from different folks in the community, I wanted to be a voice for and bring them in. And we want to also be able to speak up and advocate for themselves and for their young people that are in the school system. And that's to go and be a partner in their education, because we know that family engagement is a direct correlation to student success. So we want to make that happen. And what particular areas of interest? I think I kind of said it. It's all family and community engagement for me. That's really the key. I strongly believe that schools that are strong have families and parents that are heavily engaged. And that's bottom line, and zip code shouldn't determine that. It's literally, as long as you're engaged in your child's school, that school is going to be better because you know the questions to ask, you know the people to talk with, and you get it done. So that's me all along. And I'm going to pass it to my vice chair, Ms. Shartae Anderson.
All right. So current occupation. So I mean, first and foremost, I'm an educator. Currently I've been in higher ed for the last 4 years, and so my current role is the senior instructional technologist at the Peabody Institute of Johns Hopkins. What made me interested in PCAB is just, I'm an educator, and I've actually previously been a teacher in city schools. And I just wanted to be a part of PCAB because I wanted to be a voice and to advocate for the needs of parents and families in city schools. This city means a lot to me, and making sure that people get what they need is very important. And then I would say what particular interests I have. It's hard to kind of, bring it down to a few, but I would say while serving on the board, I just hope to uplift and advocate for better school community partnerships. I think that there are a lot of nonprofit organizations in the city that can service our students and families. And I just want to make sure that people are getting what they need, and organizations don't just exist just to exist, but that they're serving a purpose for our parents and families. And I would say the next thing is just teaching and learning, particularly around supports for parents and families to help them better support their child's education. Like we just heard about, MCAT scores and our data, and I just hope that I can be a voice in spaces where we're advocating for more resources for parents and families when they want to help, their child at home with their education, or even advocate for their child in the classroom in meetings with teachers or principals or whatever it is. I just hope that that's something that I can advocate for while being on the board. And then I would say some other things I'm interested in is just school climate and mental health, school safety, and I would say policy just related to any of those issues and topics that I talked about. So anybody can go after me.
Hi, everyone. I am Trinae Phillips Davis. I am a early learning specialist for Parent Child Plus West Baltimore at New Song Community Learning Center. I was interested in becoming a board member for PCAB because of my dedication to fostering growth and providing resources to the community, the scholars, and the parents. I am interested, my area of interest is community engagement. I'm very passionate about empowering the parents and the students and helping equip them with the tools that they need for their child to be successful on their academic journeys.
My name's Corey Witherspoon. My current occupation, I'm a special operation manager for Elevate Baltimore. I run their college and career readiness middle school division. Let me see what made me interested becoming a board member of PCAB. I saw that more needs to be more needs to be done, and parents need to be heard, quite frankly. So due to almost 20 years of work in Baltimore City Public Schools, I came to to respect the parents and what they need. And I'm a parent as well. And my young person is going to city. It's his freshman year, so I'm all the way invested, and I'm already got the intent to serve. Areas of interest as far as PCAB, definitely the parent. School climate, that's big for me. That's the bread and butter of my career in Baltimore City Schools. So safety, career, and climate, and also making sure that our young people are ready for college and career. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Charlene Stewart. I am a parent and a teacher. I have 3 beautiful daughters who attend Baltimore City College and Mount Royal and Furman L. Templeton Preparatory Academy. I am a 3rd grade teacher. I've taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So I am very passionate about the academics of our young people as well as their social being. So I look at the child as a whole. What made me interested in becoming a board member is not just my own children, but the children period, adolescence period. And they are so important, and families need to feel as though that they are valued and that their voices are being heard and that resources are provided for them to be successful with their young people and for the young people to be successful. I have had experiences with parents who get frustrated because they don't know where to go, who to talk to, especially when it comes to the children's homework and academics. They don't understand it themselves. I have a lot of parents who say, they can't read. So it is my goal to assist with the particular area of interest, which is teaching and learning, and family and community engagement. Because the more that we are involved with our community and our families, the more teaching and learning can happen. So thank you for having me. I appreciate this appointment. Looking forward to making change.
How y'all doing? I think I'm the only one who doesn't educate people. But my name is Malik. I am the treasurer of PCAB. I am a union organizer with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 27. What got me interested in becoming a board member with PCAB is I was born and raised in Sandtown, Winchester. I went to Newsom also, so went there, graduated. But also I wanted to be a voice for uh for my city, people who live in my city, and also give empowering the parents and families to do what they want, advocate for what they want. And something uh I'm here that my interest is family and community engagement. Done a lot of uh community engagement and stuff in my past, and just giving people information that they have, giving people their rights to exercise their rights to fight for what they want is something that I would love to see and give people the yeah, just give people what they need to do what they want to do with it. Yeah, so mm.
Dr. Dante?
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Okay. So good evening. My name is Dante Ryan. I am a co-founder and vice president of the Ryan Institute, where we provide academic support, education consulting, as well as engineering consulting as well. So I'm born and raised here in Baltimore, a product of Baltimore City Public Schools. My children are products of Baltimore City Public Schools. My wife was an employee of Baltimore City Public Schools. So I like to think that my family, we have a vested interest in the success of Baltimore City and Baltimore City Public Schools as a whole. And so that led me to my interest in serving on the board. The areas that I'm interested in are teaching and learning, family and community engagement, as well as the policy piece as well. And so I guess we'll go to
I see Chris Patterson
Chris.
and
Yeah, I was about to,
Sutherland on there. Yep.
Yeah, I was about to call Chris.
Chris or Devin, either one.
I can go.
Perfect.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Devin Sutherland. I wear many hats. My full-time job is the volunteer coordinator with St. Francis Neighborhood Center, but I am also the founder of Brown on the Spectrum. It's an organization that provides information and resources to families of children with autism and individuals with autism. My interest in joining PCAB stems from my appointment to the board from Disability Rights Maryland. So I'm very, very excited to work with this dynamic group of people and further support my interest in advocacy for young people that are receiving special education services in Baltimore City schools. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Devin. We're happy to have you. And if Chris is available, she's going to round us out. Chris, you're still on mute if you're talking. Right, so maybe not. When Chris cuts back on or gets the audio together, we will have her give her information. But thank you all. This was the opportunity to really get to meet your board members. There are a few that were on earlier that looked like they had to drop off. But we did have, so our secretary is Marvin Price Jr., and he was appointed by Disability Rights Maryland. Chris Patterson, she is appointed by the CEO, and she was one of our longtime alternates. Essence Nelson, board member and Charter Advisory Board Chair, and she was appointed by the PTA. And Blanca Tapajasco, she was appointed by the PTA as well. And then Tia Webb was also appointed by the PTA. And then, of course, our past chair, Angie Winder, who we love dearly and got us online today because our technology just wasn't being happy with us. And I guess it still loves Angie, so it's fine, which is great because we still love Angie. But we want to thank you all. Any announcement from anyone on the board about any upcoming events that they would like to share with the public? All right. One other piece is definitely, so we really want folks to get involved with PCAB, and there's many ways that you can get involved. So one is, of course, attending meetings and getting information and then participating in those meetings. Let me see, there's a question. When does Ms. Sutherland and members advocating for families living with autism meet? So one of the questions was for you, Devin, where they asked, Ms. Carla Harris asked, when do you have meetings centered around your organization and working with families with autism?
It is so interesting that you asked that question. During the pandemic, we hosted virtual teen meetups, but they coincided with my son being a little bit younger. So now what I'd like to do is venture into creating more social group outings for families to get young people out to get physically active. So I'm building a program together for that and just getting some dates on the calendar. But I really want to bring more opportunities for connecting with one another and getting our young people out and getting physically active. So I'll keep you posted.
Perfect. Thank you. That was great. And another announcement is the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee. The next public meeting is October 14th. October 14th. They meet at 200 East North Avenue in the first floor boardroom, and that's usually from 6 to 8 as well. So that's the next public board meeting for CCAC, which is the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee. So going back to PCAB as well, like I said, we want your involvement. So definitely participating in the meetings is key. We are trying to share a lot of information, and we want you to get this information and then share it back out as well. But asking the questions, we have the special guests on at different times. Some of them are from the district, some of them will be from different support agencies as well. And the goal is for you to ask your questions to get the information that you need so you can, again, be better advocates for your students and your children that are in the school system, which is key. So we definitely want that to be the case. The next thing is joining our committees. We have various committees that are connected to PCAB. We have the Budget Committee, which supports opportunities for public discussion regarding both the Baltimore City District level budget and individual school budgets. Committee promotes PCAB events and initiatives on the PCAB's website and through our social media channels. Family and Community Engagement Committee works to increase engagement of families and community, their school, and the district. Policy Committee fights for equity and accountability of Baltimore City schools in both policies and how they are implemented. And last but not least, Teaching and Learning Committee provides families with educational opportunities to ensure equitable access to academic data and strategies to support student achievement. So you can join one of the committees. You can be, someone say, hey, I'm not sure I can be a board member, but maybe I can be an alternate board member and support us in different events, coming out to different events that we post on our social media and website, asking questions, sharing the information with other parents as well. And then we will be working together as a team to create opportunities where we'll be able to offer some trainings as it relates to advocacy and learning, academics, all of that together for our families so that you all get the information that you need. So that's the next steps of us for sure. So any questions that you have about that, please drop us a link in the chat, send us an email, pcab@bcps.k12.md.us, or send us a instant message via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. So either way, we will respond, get to you, and give you some information. Any other announcements for the good of the order? Right, seeing nothing, do I have a motion to adjourn? Giving people back a few minutes.
A
of their
motion
evening.
to adjourn.
Second.
Excellent. So thank you all again. We truly appreciate you being on tonight and being with us and connecting with us. Our next public meeting is, hold on, let me pull up my calendar because I need to see this in person. It is October 17th is our next public meeting, right? Because the third Thursday, correct? Is that correct? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, I'm making sure before I get out there. I'm just throwing out dates. So October 17th is our next public meeting. We definitely hope to see you on there. A quick question was, how do I contact Ms. Sutherland?
My email address is devin@brownonthespectrum.com. But I'm also on all the platforms as Devin Sutherland. So Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere.
Perfect. And Carla, in worst case scenario, if you didn't get it, just shoot us an email. I know you have ours, and we will connect you via email as well. That way, so that's another way. Anytime you want to meet with or connect with one of the PCAB members, if you send PCAB an email, we can make the connection that way as well, because we do have some amazing members on this group that have some strong organizations that are all about advocacy and all about our Baltimore City Public School students. So please definitely reach out because we work hard to grab some of the best out there. And I'm excited to say that under this administration, we are going to have some superstars, and we're going to do some great work this year. So thank you all for your time, your commitment, your service to our families and students of the city of Baltimore. This is key, and our goal is to keep helping the district and our families and our students move upwards and forwards all the way. So whatever we can do to do that, we're there. Thank again to Chief Dabrowski and Chief Highcovered for being on with us this evening, and and getting people connected and sharing all the information, the great resources that we learned. So thank you all. Any last thoughts by my VP or my treasurer or any of my other board members?
Not at this time.
Nothing from me. Just thank you to everyone who was able to join us today.
Excellent. So thank you all again. Have a wonderful evening. I've given you 4 minutes back. So enjoy that 4 minutes, spend it wisely this evening, and have a great night. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.